Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Be sure to subscribe to our channel. We publish new videos every day. Don't forget, grab your smartphone and download the Lava Matra app and stay in touch. Guru Maharaj's message is your advantage. The following is a Sri Krishna Chaitanya book compilation given by His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj on February 12th, 2021 in Sri Mayapur, India.
Mangalang Gayatagaram Yatipadaman Vande Srigaram Nidanam Ramananda Madhava Sri Chaitanya Esram Hare Om Tat. Compilation of the Sri Krishna Chaitanya book.
Compilation of Sri Krishna Chaitanya book entitled Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Conversation with Venkat Bhatta, Part 2.
Sri Madhya 136.
Sri Madhya Lila 136.
লক্ষ্মীর ঐশ্বর্য জ্ঞানে কৃষ্ণ সঙ্গ অসম্ভব। লক্ষ্মী চায়ে সেই দেহে কৃষ্ণের সঙ্গম। গোপী রাগা নুগা হইয়া না কইল ভজন।
The goddess of fortune, Lakshmi, wanted to enjoy Krishna and at the same time retain her spiritual body in the form of Lakshmi. However, she did not follow in the footsteps of the gopis in her worship of Krishna.
অন্য দেহে না পাইয়ে রাসবিলাস, অতএব নায়াংশল কহে বেদ ব্যাস।
Vyasadeva, the supreme authority on Vedic literature, composed the verse beginning Nayang Shukapo Bhagavan, because no one can enter into the Rasalila dance in any body other than that of a gopi. Purport: this verse confirms a verse of Bhagavad Gita 9.25. Yanti deva vrita devan pitrinyanti pritpritaha bhutani yanti bhuteja yanti madhyajino pimam. Lord Krishna said, those who worship the demigods will take birth among the demigods. Those who worship the ancestors go to the ancestors. Those who worship ghosts and spirits will take birth among such beings. And those who worship me will live with me. In the material world, every conditioned soul changes his material body again and again. But when the spirit soul is purified of all material coverings, there is no longer a chance of his accepting a material body. Such a soul then remains in his original spiritual identity, a state that is possible to achieve only by understanding Krishna in truth through the practice of Krishna consciousness. As Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 4.9, Janma karma chame divyam evam yogati tatvataha tyakto deham punarjanma naiti mamiti sorjuna. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, takes his birth again in this material world, enter into the spiritual kingdom. As far as the Rasalila pastimes of the Lord are concerned, it is futile for one who is within the material world to attempt to imitate the Lord's dances. One has to attain a spiritual body like that of a gopi to enter into the pastimes of the Rasalila. In the Nayang Shukapo verse, the devotees are referred to as Bhakti Mat, that is, fully engaged in devotional service and devoid of material contamination. One cannot enter into Krishna's Rasalila dance simply by artificially imitating it or artificially thinking oneself a Shaki and dressing up like one. Krishna's Rasalila dance is completely spiritual. It has nothing to do with material contamination. Therefore, no one can enter into this pastime by artificial material means. That is the instruction of the Nayang Shukapo verse, and it must be strictly understood.
Several systems of worship with Krishna.
One of the Apasampradaya system of worshipping Krishna
are the Saki Bekis.
are the Shaki Bekis.
They dress like a holy,
They dress like a gopi,
although they may be a man.
although they may be a man.
I saw one Saki Beki
I saw one Shaki Beki
from the back. He was wearing a sari, he looked like a lady.
from the back. He looked like a lady. He was wearing a sari.
He turned around,
When he turned around,
he had a beard.
he had a beard.
They're called Saki Bekis.
They called Shaki Bekis.
They're thinking of imitating a gopi.
They thinking of imitating a gopi.
Here we see
But here we see
externally one cannot do that.
that externally one cannot do that.
Have to purify the consciousness and do it internally.
You have to purify the consciousness and do it internally.
পূর্বে শ্রী বৈষ্ণব ভট্টের নারায়ণকেই স্বয়ং রূপ বলিয়া ধারণা। পূর্বে ভট্টের মনে এক হইত অভিমান, শ্রী নারায়ণ হন স্বয়ং ভগবান।
Before this explanation was given by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Venkat Bhatta thought that Sri Narayana was the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
তাহার ভজন সর্ব পরিকক্ষ হয়, শ্রী বৈষ্ণবের ভজন এই সর্বোপরি হয়।
Thinking in this way, Venkat Bhatta believed that worship of Narayana was the supreme form of worship, superior to all other processes of devotional service, for it was followed by the Sri Vaishnava disciples of Ramanujacharya.
এই তার গর্ব প্রভু করিতে খণ্ডন, পরিহাস দ্বারে উঠায় এতে কবচন।
Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had understood this misconception of Venkat Bhatta's, and to correct it, the Lord talked so much in a joking way.
প্রভু কর্তৃক কৃষ্ণের ও নারায়ণের লীলা বৈশিষ্ট্য বর্ণন ও কৃষ্ণের স্বয়ং রূপত্ব সংস্থাপন। প্রভু কয়ে ভট্ট তুমি না করিহ সংশয়, স্বয়ং ভগবান কৃষ্ণ এই তো নিশ্চয়।
The Lord then continued, My dear Venkat Bhatta, please do not continue doubting. Lord Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and this is the conclusion of the Vedic literatures.
The first canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam,
In the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam,
it states Krishna to Bhagavan Swayam.
it states Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam.
He is the original personality of Godhead.
He is the original personality of Godhead.
Narayan, other forms of Godhead,
Narayana and other forms of Godhead
are his extensions,
are his expansions
of the extensions of his extensions.
of the expansion of the expansion.
কৃষ্ণের বিলাস মূর্তি শ্রীনারায়ণ, অথায় এব লক্ষ্মীয়াদের হয়েতে মন।
Lord Narayana, the opulent form of Krishna, attracts the minds of the goddess of fortune and her followers.
শ্রীমদ্ ভাগবতম প্রথম স্কন্ধে 3:28। এতে চাংশ কলাপুংসং কৃষ্ণস্থ ভগবান স্বয়ং, ইন্দ্রাণী বা কুলং লোকং মুড়ায়ন্তি যুগে যুগে.
All these incarnations of Godhead are either plenary portions or parts of the plenary portions of the Purusha avatars. But Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead Himself. In every age, He protects the world through His different features when the world is disturbed by the enemies of Indra. Purport: this is a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam 1.3.28.
নারায়ণ হইতে কৃষ্ণের অসাধারণ গুণ, অতএব লক্ষ্মীর কৃষ্ণে তৃষ্ণা অনুক্ষণ.
Because Krishna has four extraordinary qualities not possessed by Lord Narayana, the goddess of fortune Lakshmi always desires his company. Purport: Lord Narayana has 60 transcendental qualities. Over and above these, Krishna has four extraordinary transcendental qualities absent in Lord Narayana. These four qualities are: number 1, his wonderful pastimes, which are compared to an ocean. Number 2, his association in the circle of the supreme devotees in conjugal love, the gopis. Number 3, his playing on the flute, whose vibration attracts the three worlds. And number 4, his extraordinary beauty, which surpasses the beauty of the three worlds. Lord Krishna's beauty is unequaled and unsurpassed.
This study was done by the father of Vyasadeva,
So this study was done by the father of Vyasadeva,
Parasara Muni,
Parasara Muni,
and so Krishna had 64 qualities.
and he said that Krishna has 64 qualities.
Narayana and the other Krishna avatars
Narayana and other Vishnu avatars
had 60.
has 60 qualities.
Lord Shiva had 55.
Lord Shiva has 55.
And Brahma and other living entities had maximum 50.
Brahma and other living entities, they have maximum 50.
তুমি যে পড়িলা শ্লোক সে হয় প্রমাণ, সেই শ্লোকে আইসে কৃষ্ণ স্বয়ং ভগবান.
You have recited the sloka beginning with Shidantatastu Abhede Pi. That very verse is evidence that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
ভক্তি রসামৃত সিন্ধু 1-2 সিদ্ধান্ত তস্ত ভেদেয় অপি শ্রীশ কৃষ্ণ স্বরূপায় রসেনাথ কৃষ্ণতে কৃষ্ণ রূপ মেশারসিস্থিতি.
According to transcendental realization, there is no difference between the forms of Krishna and Narayana. Yet, in Krishna there is a special transcendental attraction due to the conjugal mellow, and consequently he surpasses Narayana. This is the conclusion of the transcendental mellows. Purport: this is a verse from the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.2.59. Here, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj says that Lord Chaitanya spoke the verse to Venkat Bhatta, and earlier he said that Venkat Bhatta spoke it to the Lord. But since their conversation took place long before the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu was composed, the question may be raised as to how either of them quoted the verse. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains this that this verse and many others like it were current among devotees long before the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu was composed. Thus devotees would always quote them and explain their purport in ecstasy.
লক্ষ্মী কৃষ্ণ মাধুর্য চান, কিন্তু গোপী চতুর্ভুজ নারায়ণ ঐশ্বর্য চান না. স্বয়ং ভগবান কৃষ্ণ হরে লক্ষ্মীর মন, গোপিকার মন হরিতে নারে নারায়ণ.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, attracts the mind of the goddess of fortune, but Lord Narayana cannot attract the mind of the gopis. This proves the super excellence of Krishna.
স্বয়ং কৃষ্ণের চতুর্ভুজ রূপেও গোপীর অনাদর। নারায়ণের কা কথা শ্রীকৃষ্ণ আপনে, গোপীকারে হাস্য করাইতে হয় নারায়ণে।
To say nothing of Lord Narayana personally, Lord Krishna himself appeared as Narayana just to play a joke on the gopis.
চতুর্ভুজ মূর্তি দেখায় গোপীগণের আগে, সেই কৃষ্ণ গোপিকার নহে অনুরাগে।
Although Krishna assumed the four-armed form of Narayana, he could not attract the serious attention of the gopis in ecstatic love.
ললিত মাধব 6:14।
Once Lord Sri Krishna playfully manifested himself as Narayana with 4 victorious hands and a very beautiful form. When the gopis saw this exalted form, however, their ecstatic feelings were crippled. A learned scholar therefore cannot understand the gopis' ecstatic feelings, which are firmly fixed upon the original form of Lord Krishna as the son of Nanda Maharaj. The wonderful feelings of the gopis in ecstatic Paramarasa with Krishna constitute the greatest mystery in spiritual life. Purport: This is a verse spoken by Narada Muni in the Lalita Madhava Nataka 6.14, a drama written by Srila Rupa Goswami.
প্রভু কর্তৃক লক্ষ্মীর ও গোপী তত্ত্বের সমন্বয় সাধন। এত কই প্রভু তার গর্ব চূর্ণ করিয়া, তারে সুখ দিতে কহে সিদ্ধান্ত ফিরাইয়া।
In this way, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu deflated the pride of Venkat Bhatta, but just to make him happy again, he spoke as follows.
দুঃখ না ভাবিও ভট্ট কইল পরিহাস, শাস্ত্র সিদ্ধান্ত শুনো যাতে বৈষ্ণব বিশ্বাস।
The Lord pacified Venkat Bhatta by saying, "Actually, whatever I have said is by way of jest. Now you can hear from me the conclusion of the Shastras in which every Vaishnava devotee has firm faith."
স্বয়ং ভগবান কৃষ্ণ ও নারায়ণ তত্ত্ব এবং সর্বলক্ষ্মীময়ী শ্রী রাধা ও লক্ষ্মী তত্ত্ব। কৃষ্ণ নারায়ণ জয়ছে একয় স্বরূপ, গোপী লক্ষ্মী ভেদ নাহি হয় এক রূপ।
There is no difference between Lord Krishna and Lord Narayana, for they are of the same form. Similarly, there is no difference between the gopis and the goddess of fortune, for they also are of the same form.
কৃষ্ণ তত্ত্ব ও বিষ্ণু তত্ত্ব এবং শ্রী রাধা তত্ত্বও লক্ষ্মী তত্ত্বে ভেদবুদ্ধি অপরাধজনক। গোপীদ্বারে লক্ষ্মী করে কৃষ্ণ সংজ্ঞাসাদ, ঈশ্বর তত্ত্বে ভেদ মানিলে হয় অপরাধ।
The goddess of fortune enjoys the association of Krishna through the gopis. One should not differentiate between the forms of the Lord, for such a conception is offensive.
ভক্তের স্বরূপানুরূপ সেবা ভেদে আরাধ্য বস্তুর মাধুর্য ও ঐশ্বর্য ভেদ। এক ঈশ্বর ভক্তের ধ্যান অনুরূপ, একই বিগ্রহে করে নানাকার রূপ।
There is no difference between the transcendental forms of the Lord. Different forms are manifested due to different attachments of different devotees. Actually, the Lord is one, but He appears in different forms just to satisfy His devotees. Purport: In the Brahma Samhita 5.33 it is stated, Advaitam Achyutam Anadim Anantarupam Adyam Purana Purusham Nava Yauvanam Cha. The Lord is Advaita, without differentiation. There is no difference between the forms of Krishna, Rama, Narayana and Vishnu. All of them are one. Sometimes foolish people ask whether we can chant Rama. In the Hare Krishna mantra, we refer to Lord Ramachandra or Lord Balarama. If a devotee says that the name of Rama in the Hare Krishna Mahamantra refers to Balarama, a foolish person may become angry because to him the name Rama refers to Lord Ramachandra. Actually, there is no difference between Balarama and Lord Rama. It does not matter whether one refers to Balarama or to Lord Ramachandra when chanting Hare Rama, for there is no difference between them. However, it is offensive to think that Balarama is superior to Lord Ramachandra or vice versa. Neophyte devotees do not understand this Shastric conclusion, and consequently they unnecessarily create an offensive situation. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila 9.154, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu clarified this in a very lucid way. Ishvaratve Beda Manile Haya Aparada. It is offensive for one to differentiate between the forms of the Lord. On the other hand, one should not think that the forms of the Lord are the same as the forms of the demigods. This is certainly offensive, as confirmed by the Vaishnava Tantra. A Pasandi is one who considers the great demigods such as Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva equal to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana. That's from Hari Bhakti Vilas 7.117. The conclusion is that we should neither differentiate between the forms of the Lord nor equate the forms of the Lord with the forms of the demigods or human beings. For instance, sometimes foolish sannyasis, thinking the body of the Lord to be material, equate Daridara Narayana with Narayana, and this is certainly offensive. Unless one is instructed by a bona fide spiritual master, he cannot perfectly understand these different forms. The Brahma Samhita confirms Vedesu Durlabham Adurlabham Atma Bhaktau. One cannot understand the differences between the forms of the Lord simply by academic study or by reading Vedic literature. One must learn from a realized devotee. Only then can one learn how to distinguish between one form of the Lord and another. The conclusion is that there is no difference between the form of the Lord, but there is a difference between his forms and those of the demigods.
So there's only one Supreme Person of Godhead.
So there is only one Supreme Personality of Godhead,
He has unlimited form.
but he has unlimited forms.
Ananta Rupam.
Ananta Rupam.
All the forms are spiritually one.
So all forms are,
He has different forms because
and he has different forms because
different devotees behave in one particular aspect.
different devotees pray in one particular aspect.
Therefore, he reciprocates with those devotees
So therefore he reciprocates with those devotees
by so many different forms.
By so many different forms.
But all the forms are transcendental and absolute.
But all the forms are transcendental and absolute.
The forms of the devatas cannot be compared with the forms of Narayana and Krishna.
Forms of devatas cannot be compared with forms of Narayana or Krishna.
লঘু ভাগবতামৃত 1-357 ধৃত শ্রী নারদ পঞ্চরাত্র বচন মনির যথা বিভাগেন নীলপিতাদিভির্যুত রূপভেদম বাপনতি ধ্যান বেদাত্তাচ্যুত.
When the jewel known as Vaidurya touches various other materials, it appears to be separated into different colors, and consequently its forms also appear different. Similarly, according to the meditational ecstasy of the devotee, the Lord, who is known as Achyuta, the infallible one, appears in different forms, although he is essentially one. But this is a verse quoted from Sri Narada Pascharatra.
ভট্টের প্রভুকে কৃষ্ণ জ্ঞান ভট্ট কয়ে কাহা আমি জীব পামর কাহা তুমি সেই কৃষ্ণ সাক্ষাৎ ঈশ্বর
Venkat Bhatta then said, I am an ordinary fallen living entity, but you are Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Himself.
প্রভুর সিদ্ধান্তে ভট্টের দৃঢ় বিশ্বাস অগাধ ঈশ্বর লীলা কিছুই না জানি তুমি যেই কহ সেই সত্য করি মানি
The transcendental pastimes of the Lord are unfathomable, and I do not know anything about them. Whatever you say, I accept as the truth. Purport: this is the way to understand the truth about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. After hearing the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna said very much the same thing. O Krishna, I totally accept as truth all that you have told me. Neither the demigods nor the demons, O Lord, can understand your personality. Bhagavad Gita 10.14. It is not possible to understand the truth about the pastimes of the Lord simply by using our own logic, argument, and academic education. We must receive bona fide information from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Just as Arjuna received information when Krishna spoke the Bhagavad Gita, we have to accept the Bhagavad Gita or any other Vedic literature in good faith. These Vedic literatures are the only source of knowledge about the Lord. We must understand that we cannot comprehend the absolute truth by the speculative process.
উপাস্য লক্ষ্মী নারায়ণ কৃপাতেই প্রভুর কৃপা লাভ মোরে পূর্ণ কৃপা কইল লক্ষ্মী নারায়ণ তার কৃপায় পাইনু তোমার চরণ দর্শন
I have been engaged in the service of Lakshmi Narayana, and it is due to their mercy that I have been able to see your lotus feet.
প্রভুর কৃপায় ভট্টের কৃষ্ণ সেবারম্ভ কৃপা করি কহিলে মোরে কৃষ্ণের মহিমা যার রূপ গুণ ঐশ্বর্যের কেহ না পায় সীমা
Out of your causeless mercy, you have told me of the glories of Lord Krishna. No one can reach the end of the opulence, qualities, and forms of the Lord.
এ বেশে জানিনু কৃষ্ণ ভক্তি সর্বোপরি কৃতার্থ করিলে মোরে কহিলে কৃপা করি
I can now understand that devotional service unto Lord Krishna is the supreme form of worship. Out of your causeless mercy, you have made my life successful simply by explaining the facts.
Gada Bhatta was appreciating the association with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Venkat Bhatta, he was appreciating the association with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
By his teachings, he started to worship Lord Krishna.
By his teachings, he started to worship Lord Krishna.
ভট্টের প্রভুকে প্রণাম ও প্রভুর আলিঙ্গন এত বলি ভট্ট পড়িলা প্রভুর চরণে কৃপা করি প্রভু তারে কইলা আলিঙ্গনে
After saying this, Venkat Bhatta fell down before the lotus feet of the Lord, and the Lord, out of his causeless mercy, embraced him.
By the mercy of Lord Chaitanya,
By the mercy of Lord Chaitanya,
someone received the blessing of his embrace. Out of his causeless mercy,
Out of his causeless mercy,
someone receives his embrace.
someone receives his embrace.
So Venkatapada is thus embraced by Lord Chaitanya,
Venkat Bhatta was thus embraced by Lord Chaitanya.
and that way he got the highest mercy.
And in that way he got the highest mercy.
চাতুর্মাস্যান্তে প্রভুর পুনরায় দক্ষিণ যাত্রা। চাতুর্মাস্য পূর্ণ হইল, ভট্ট আজ্ঞা লইয়া দক্ষিণ চলিলা প্রভু শ্রীরঙ্গ দেখিয়া।
When the period of Chaturmasya was completed, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took permission to leave from Venkat Bhatta, and after visiting Sri Ranga, he proceeded further toward southern India.
অনুগামী ভট্টকে প্রভুর সান্ত্বনা দান। সঙ্গেতে চলিলা ভট্ট, না যায় ভবনে, তারে বিদায় দিলা প্রভু অনেক যতনে।
Venkat Bhatta did not want to return home, but also wanted to go with the Lord. It was with this great endeavor that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu bade him farewell.
প্রভু বিরহে ভট্ট, প্রভুর বিয়োগে ভট্ট হইল অচেতন, এই রঙ্গ লীলা করে সচির নন্দন।
When he did so, Venkat Bhatta fell down unconscious. Such are the pastimes of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the son of Mother Sachi at Sri Rangashetra.
So Venkatapada had developed so much attachment for Lord Chaitanya.
So Venkat Bhatta had developed so much attachment for Lord Chaitanya.
And Lord Chaitanya insisted that he go home.
When Lord Chaitanya insisted that he should go home
Paid farewell,
and bade farewell,
Venkatapada fell unconscious.
Venkat Bhatta fell unconscious. Gauranga Leela Smaran Mangala Stotra 44. The Lord travelled to many places and distributed pure love of Krishna wherever he went. He stayed for some days at Rangashetra and mercifully converted Venkat Bhatta, his family, and the local scholars into pure devotees of Lord Krishna. I meditate on that golden Lord Chaitanya, who is an ocean of happiness for the home of Gopal Bhatta.
Gopal Bhatta was serving Lord Chaitanya
Gopal Bhatta was serving Lord Chaitanya
while he was in Srirangam.
while he was in Sri Rangam.
Lord Chaitanya later told him
And Lord Chaitanya later told him,
go to Vrindavan
go to Vrindavan
and join Sri Rupa and Sanatan.
and join Sri Rupa and Sanatan.
I became one of the 6 Goswamis.
And he became one of the 6 Goswamis.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thus ends the chapter entitled Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Conversations with Venkat Bhatta.
Do you like our ad-free videos? Be sure to subscribe to our channel. We publish new videos every day, and don't forget to like and share our channel.